Planning to study in Australia? It's not all beaches and kangaroos. From visa headaches to culture shock, there are some tough challenges that you might not expect. Let's talk about the real struggles that international students face. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Pawan. I'm a registered nurse based in Sydney, Australia. I moved to Australia in 2015 as an international nursing student, and I graduated in December 2017 and have been working as a registered nurse ever since. Well, the first one I want to talk about is visa and immigration issues. Let's start off with the one that causes most anxiety to international students: visa and immigration stuff. Applying for a student visa to Australia is a long, expensive, and confusing process. There are so many documents to prepare, and if you make a single mistake, it can cause further delays or even affect your visa approval. And once you arrive to Australia on your student visa, it doesn't stop there. You have to understand your work limitations, which as far as I'm aware, there are 48 hours a fortnight that you're allowed to work part-time on your student visa. And if you accidentally go over that, it can impact your visa status. And once your visa is up for expiration, renewing your visa can also be very stressful, especially if there's been any delays in your course or your course end date changes. I've seen a few students get stuck in the limbo, unable to travel or work while they're waiting for the outcome of their visa application, which can sometimes take from weeks to months. And let's not forget the immigration agents. Because the visa processes are so complicated, many students end up hiring these migration agents. Some are great, but many of them charge ridiculously high fee and offer little guidance. It's really hard to know who to trust when you're new and vulnerable. And it doesn't really matter which course you go for, the fee is pretty high for international students. And on top of that, you have to get a migration agent to help you with your visa application, which is sort of an added expense for international students. Next up, I want to talk about the cost of living. Australia is a beautiful country, but it's also very expensive, especially if you're living in a big city like Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane. Rent alone can take half of your income. Then there's groceries, transportations, phone plans, textbooks, and all those little unexpected expenses. You really have to learn how to budget smart. For example, shared accommodation is a lifesaver, even if that means that there's less privacy. Secondly, using the public transport, it's way cheaper than owning a car in Australia. Because even if you don't use your car, you will have to pay for its registration fee, its running costs every year. When I was a student, I heavily relied on the public transport, and it saved me so much money. But not everyone has that option, because I lived in Sydney and the public transport in Sydney is great. But if you are in a regional area or where public transport is not that well connected, then you might need a car. But in general, using the public transport is cheaper. And thirdly, this is actually a plus point. The 48-hour work restriction doesn't apply during your semester breaks. So when you have break between 2 semesters, you can work as much as you like, pretty much full time. So the idea here is to work more during those semester breaks and weekend shifts to save up. And lastly, cut down on eating out. Even those daily coffee purchases, they really add up. It's a big shift for many students, especially if you come from a country where cost of living is lower. So learning how to budget smart during my student days was a skill I had to learn fast. Now next, I want to talk about the academic pressure. Now let's talk about the uni life, because studying in Australia is very different from many other countries. The grading system, the style of teaching, and the expectations around assignments and referencing can be a huge adjustment. At least it was for me. I was not used to writing essays or referencing. Before coming to Australia, I was very used to and very comfortable with sitting exams, but writing essays and referencing was something brand new to me. So it took me a semester or 2 to get used to the writing style, especially the referencing. I was still making mistakes in my second semester. But by the second year of my nursing degree, because it's a 3-year degree, I was pretty used to it. So it is a practice skill, and it's something that you eventually get used to, but initially when you come over for the first time, it can be very daunting. So like myself, you might be used to memorizing and sitting exams, but here they want critical thinking and research skills, and lots of referencing. And let's be real, failing a subject can be very expensive. You're not just repeating the subject, you're also paying thousands of dollars more. So failing wasn't really an option for me. So for international students, that actually creates a lot of pressure to perform. Even when you're tired, or you're feeling homesick, or working night shifts to make ends meet, you're under this constant pressure to perform well, because failing really isn't an option. That's how most international students see it. At least that's how I saw it. So mental health is a real issue here, and many international students don't seek help because of stigma and fear of judgment. But please reach out. There's so much support available through unis, peers, and communities. Part 4, finding part-time work. Everyone says, "Oh, just get a part-time job." But the reality, it's not always easy. In metro cities like Sydney and Melbourne, you might have better chances, but the competition is fierce. And if you're living in a regional area, finding part-time work can be even harder because there's not many jobs available for students in those areas. Plus, you're limited by your visa to only work a certain number of hours in a fortnight, which again limits so many options for you. Because many employers won't hire someone who is only available a certain number of hours a week. There's only certain areas like hospitality, working in a restaurant, cafe, or healthcare where students stand a chance with those part-time work rights. And because there's not many options, that's why the competition is so high. And you know what? Honestly, some employers might take advantage of that. I myself haven't experienced it, but I've heard stories about employers taking advantage of students and offering cash-in-hand jobs that are below minimum wage and outside legal protections, which is pretty sad. You need to know your work rights in Australia. Fair Work Australia has clear guidelines. Don't settle for being underpaid just because you are an international student. And another big challenge for international students is trying to find a balance between work and study without burning out. Because honestly, in your head, you're always thinking that you should either be working or studying. There's no time to rest. It's a constant juggle. I remember doing a night shift and heading straight to class, mentally and physically drained. Don't do that. Lastly, legal and financial challenges. And then there are legal and financial challenges that no one prepares you for. You have to file taxes every year, even if you're working part-time as an international student. Understanding tax file numbers, superannuation, and tax returns every year can be super confusing at first. And let's not forget the unexpected phase, like health insurance gaps. If you fall sick, even though you're covered by your overseas student health cover, you still have to pay the gap if you fall sick and end up using that cover, which can be a few $100 to a few $1,000s. And then there's subject resets. If you fail a subject, you have to pay the whole subject fee again, and paying an accountant to do your tax returns every year. It all adds up. And there's one more thing that no one talks about. If your home country's currency drops in value, your tuition fee and living costs suddenly become even harder to manage, which can put additional pressure and stress on your family and your finances. So yes, being an international student in Australia is a great opportunity, but it's also filled with so many challenges that no one talks about. So if you're planning to come here or just arrived, know this: you're not alone. We've all struggled. Ask questions, get support, and connect with other students, because soon you will realize that so many other students are in the same boat. And lastly, learn your rights, manage your budget, and give yourself grace when things feel overwhelming. And guys, with this video, I'm not trying to discourage anyone, but it's important to know what you're walking into. Studying in Australia can be one of the best experiences in your life, but it comes with its own set of challenges. I want you to be as prepared as possible before making the big move. And if you ever feel stuck, reach out. Comment below or message me on Instagram. I've been there. I want to help. So guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who's also thinking about moving to Australia as an international student. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.